Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 44 of the 40k Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd, and I am joined, as always, by my favorite kissing cousin, Camuel L. Michalakson. Camuel, what's going on, buddy?
I'm really uncomfortable being referred to as a kissing cousin. I'm not going to lie about that one.
That's multi-layer uncomfortableness.
Yeah, I know. No, that is deeper than most of the lore surrounding what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, wow, that's gross. Who's still listening? Are you, listener? Are you still listening? I hope so.
I'm already checked out.
That's the humor we do here at the 40k Badcast. We've got bad in the title. It means we can do whatever the fuck we want. Campbell, how you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I was actually listening back to like episode 2 just because I was like, oh, what did we sound like back then? And it's very much like, it's not quite as polite as some other podcasts out there, but it's very much like, oh, how are you doing? I'm well. And Daniel, how are you doing? Also well. Let's talk about our favorite game, Warhammer 40,000. Like, yeah. It's so... Oh, man, there's just a little bit of antagonism that I love so much that we didn't used to have back then. We're like an old married couple. Exactly. An old married kissing cousins couple.
Sometimes I regret these bits.
I don't.
But this is not one of those times.
Well, here's the thing. I'm never going to run for office, so nobody's ever going to need to go back to this and dig up this dirt on me.
Okay, well, let's get into the show maybe a little bit, or not. Maybe we can just like bullshit for a while.
I mean, that's what you're here for, aren't you?
Did you see that Glass movie yet?
No, I haven't. I have not caught on to that Camuel L. Jackson little reference you threw out there. I've not seen that. Believe it or not, I haven't really been following M. Night Shyamalan's career since Unbreakable, which I think was probably the last good movie he made.
Split?
I'm still kind of confused.
Split.
Okay, I didn't see Split.
Do we not like Split? I liked it.
I didn't see it. I'm just still kind of confused when it's like from director M. Night Shyamalan, and it's got all this like glitz and like it's plastered up there like it's a name you trust, like it's like from, you know, Academy Award winner Steven Spielberg or something like that. And it's like, oh, here's a movie from the guy who made the movie where Marky Mark yells at a plant.
No, okay, but well, hold up. I'm gonna defend my dude M. Night for a minute. Because he's made some very good movies.
He has.
Unbreakable was great. Split, I liked the whole lot.
Great.
I mean, The Sixth Sense, instant fucking classic.
Yeah, and
what was that one? What was that one with the where the children go visit their grandparents? I've seen it, and it's extremely good. And I can't remember the fucking name to it. Oh, I got to look it up. God damn it. Campbell, stall for time.
Oh, I'm so glad that I could join you in Daniel's film corner. Sorry, Dan Boyd's film corner. I'm still caught up on like that old school episode sort of thing where I'm respectful and use your actual Christian name.
The Visit.
I don't even know that.
The Visit. It's great. It's one of these like found footage movies. Which, okay, some people hate those. Those
are dated as hell.
I love found footage movies. I think they're great.
I like Wreck.
But this one is like these two children go and spend time with their grandparents for the first time, and it's creepy. And it's really good.
All right. I will,
yeah.
Man, two children spending time with their grandparents is not the best way to sell that, but all right, I get it.
Yeah, that's a good one. No, he's made some good movies. Okay, there's like, I'm looking at his list right now, and there's a lot of not good movies.
Like
not
Devil?
A lot. I mean, She's All That was pretty good. You didn't know he did that.
No.
Okay.
I mean.
All right. Okay, no, we're done.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. No more M. Night Shyamalan. I want to go see that film, Glass, but, whatever. Okay, let's talk about Warhammer 40,000, maybe.
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
One's here to listen to that.
Let's get into the aspects where we talk about what's on our hobby radar. And I'm going to start off with a little hobby progress. I'm just working on Intercessors.
Nice.
In the 2 weeks since we recorded, I am still working on the same group. It fucking takes a while.
Yep. All the jokes about editing are very much deserved.
It takes a long while to get these things right. And man, I was we're talking with our group text or whatever, and this month and next month, I'm trying to get all these intercessors done. I got these 5, and I'm going to do 5 more so I can have 6 squads.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do a bunch of power fists and a couple more auxiliary grenade launchers so I can have like good squads if I want to.
All right, 6 squads of 5, right?
Yeah.
And are your auxiliary grenade launchers, are any of those conversions, or are they all just straight out of the kit?
Stock, baby.
Alrighty. Now, because I remember seeing Beer for the Beer God had a very cool conversion where he stuck a guard grenade launcher under it. And although it looked like very big and chunky, that's very Warhammer. So it actually looked pretty cool.
No, yeah. His stuff looked really good. Yeah, but it's just getting all these intercessors done. It's sort of like eating my vegetables, you know? Mm-hmm. Got to get these troops choices in.
Yeah, got to get that roughage in before you can have some Necromunda candy.
Right. But here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about. I feel like a Primaris release is imminent.
I just feel it. I mean, we've got what's almost 110%, almost 110%. So I guess 109% incoming Black Legion stuff coming up. We've seen Satan Lord Hellfucker, and we know Abaddon is coming to Vigilus and all that stuff. Yeah. So they're not going to come alone. It's not going to be like, here's our big new release, 1 new character and the same Chaos Marines that we've been seeing for 20 years. Like, there's going to be new stuff then. And I have the gut feeling, like, this is my gut feeling, is that there'll be a battle box like Tooth and Claw or like Wake the Dead, where it's like Primaris Marines and Chaos Marines, and you get, a mix of new and old that way. I would be very much expecting something like that. Again, I'm not going by any knowledge here. This is just my gut feeling.
Yeah. But what I'm worried about is that it like comes in the next couple of weeks, and then I'm going to, want to rush and finish a bunch of shit for Adepticon.
Yeah, but I think we've both kind of gone over the pitfalls of that whole dealio.
Yes, there are problems inherent in rushing to complete things for a con, but God damn it, if they give me a new repulsor or something, Campbell, I'm going to want to buy it and use it.
So, Dan, there's 2 things. Number 1, I want you to have a cool new tank. I want you to have cool new units, and I want you to do well. Number 2, I also want to go to your wedding. I want you to actually get married and not pre-divorced here. So you got to figure out where the balance lies.
Yeah. But I was talking to some people today, and like, I got to get through these intercessors. Mm-hmm. And then I'd like to finish up the stuff for Necromunda for the Synchro to Necro in May.
Yeah.
And then like I'll get more into it when we talk about games played, but I played some Blood Bowl today, and I'd like to get another team going and do all the stuff. And if there's a big juicy Primaris release that comes out, I'm like, it's going to fuck up all my plans.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, what you've got planned out, you've got stuff planned out pretty much till May from what you just told me here. You've got, like, all right, you got some stuff you want to get done for Adepticon, then some stuff you want to get done for Synchro to Necro. And after that, you're kind of open. Like, a Blood Bowl team can happen pretty much whenever. And then you've got between May and Nova where you can just kind of work on whatever. So, yeah, if some stuff comes out, like, you can even chill out and maybe wait on it for a minute until it comes out in, like, a start collecting box or something. Like, I don't think you're going to need to rush, because only the first half of the year is more or less spoken for, but that leaves 7 months.
You know what? You're right. You're making me feel better. Now I feel better. The anxiety is lessening.
Well, that's the thing is you set me up and make me feel terrible, and I decide to let you back up.
Did you feel terrible?
I'm trying to figure out what the right term for how I felt after hearing the Kissing Cousins joke
I said you were my favorite kissing cousin.
Oh, this is true. I would not want to be your bronze medal in this situation. Silver medal I could handle, but gold medal is, that's good. That's good.
Oh, God. Okay, I do apologize for that.
Apologize for nothing.
It was kind of funny. All right, what you been working on?
So I've been doing a lot of tidying up. Like, I tidied the fuck up.
Have you been watching that show on Netflix?
No, I've not been watching Marie Kondo. But Anne brought home her book from the library a bunch of times, like back when we moved in together, and it was very much kind of like, I'm not reading that shit, but I kind of got the idea. I'm like, I've got some
He's
shit.
Trying to drop some hints.
Oh, God, completely. Well, like, there's someone tweeted at me recently, like, imagine having to explain Warhammer collection, like your Warhammer backlog, to Marie Kondo. How would you do that? I'm sorry, I don't remember who you are right now. I know you're a listener. But yeah, so anywhoomst, I've been going through some old shit, and I was like, okay, what here is meaningless to me? and I have this ottoman behind me, not the Empire, but the piece of furniture, and it's just been full of shit. It's been full of shit I've had for over a decade, and at the bottom of it was the old Necromunda box set and the old second edition 40k box set. And I just opened them both up and I'm like, all right, here's some cool old models. Here's some cool old rule books. All right, the rule books go on the shelf. The models, all right, those can go in the backlog, whatever. But I've just got all this cardboard. I've got like psychic power cards, data cards, templates, like markers, tokens, all this shit. A lot of
them out.
Yep, a lot of it's still unpunched, and I just put it all in the recycling.
Yes.
Because like, you know, for a second I was kind of feeling like, this is cool. Like the art in this is cool. I'm like, yeah, but the art in this can be found a million other.
Dylan didn't want any of it?
He has like 4 copies of Second Ed, like one's in shrink and in German. Like the dude's got he's good. He's extremely good. I watched him crack the plastic seal on the Mordheim box set like 6 months ago, and that was like that was exhilarating.
I kind of wish I was there for that.
Yeah, he was like, I need a crossbow from here, so slice, boop. Either way. He's probably good on thud gun templates, all right? But I was like, yeah, part of me is always like, oh man, I'll play Second Ed someday. And I'm like, I'm not going to play Second Ed. I'm going to play 8th Ed or whatever the most recent, easiest version of the game is to play with my old models when I want to. And I'll have all the fun and flavor of that era. And, you know, without having to get bogged down a 12-hour game. And if I really want to look at old art and old layout and all that stuff, I keep the rule books. Like that shit owns. I love that stuff. But I don't need 300 tactics cards that I'm never going to use or like, you know, whatever. So that one in the recycling. I did a lot of like clipping shit off sprues, a lot of putting stuff in bags and boxes. I'm actually out of bids boxes, so I need to go to Michael's to get more of those now. And
the Container Store.
Well, the thing is, I already have 4 from Michael's that I really like, and I want them all to match. And they're always sold out online. But so then I started going through like some of the other shit on my shelf. I'm like, I have the Wall of Martyrs, you know, box set, like the Imperial Defense Line box set. And I'm just like, I've had this for 4 years. I have never once done anything with this entire box. And I don't really like, I don't really like trench warfare. Like it's not that fun to me generally. So I'm like, you know what? Off it goes. I sold it off to I sold it to Olaf in the Discord.
The well-known fun-having extravaganza of trench warfare.
It's just a barrel of laughs.
Hey, what do you guys want to do tonight? Do you guys want to go to Dave and Buster's, or do you want to get embroiled in trench warfare?
Dude, I love Trenchfoot. I have their first 3 albums. I saw them before they got big on the Eastern Front.
Man,
but
Machi.
Even gaming in trenches has never really been my favorite thing. So, Olaf, if you're listening, I hope you're not experiencing buyer's remorse because it's already in the mail. But it's a cool. It's a cool set. I really think it looks beautiful, but I'm not going to use it, man. I'm like, you know what? I've got a city board. I'll keep my city ruins. Like I've got the, you know, Kill Team box set and all that stuff. That's still good. That's still cool. But I'm like, you know what? I want to make some space. I want to get rid of stuff I don't really have a plan for. You know, like I have the Death Ray Designs Kickstarter, which is like $200 worth of the MDF Space Marine, you know, Dawn of Warwick and terrain. And it looks great, but it's still in the wood. And I'm not going to punch that out anytime soon. So listeners, if you want to buy that stuff, I'm very happy to let it go for a decent price.
Seller's market.
Shipping might be kind of shitty because it's like 15 pounds of wood, but we'll figure something out. 15 pounds of wood, also my nickname in college. So aside from just tossing shit out, getting rid of shit, and accidentally amassing more shit because Adon from the Independent Characters was like, hey, I found these Rogue Trader scouts. You want them? And I'm like, yeah, give me that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're bare metal Rogue Trader scouts. Like, how often are you going to find that sort of thing? And I'm pretty sure at least one of them is some amount of lead in him. I have not shooten him to figure that out. So, I've just been getting a little bit of that stuff. But I'm trying to kind of curb my spending, curb my acquisitions, just kind of work on what I got. Because I got a fuckload of Primaris Marines, and that's what I've been working on. So I finished those first 5 Intercessors.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that they came out. You know, I got to, some of the paint's a little thick on them because they're like 3 coats deep because they're like, oh, they're going to be Templars. They're going to be Blood Ravens. They're going to be Ultramarines. So, But that being said, the detail on them is crisp enough that they look fine. I was able to highlight anywhere, kind of etch in my own detail with highlights if I needed to. And anywhere that got kind of fudged, I did some weathering on them. So I even I gave them this cool quartered heraldry on their knee pads. I did some weathering around their feet and around their, shoulders and a little bit in their helmets and stuff. And they came out super good. I painted up 2 Primaris Lieutenants, which is the 500th story anniversary guy, and the Conquest one that was sent in by a listener who, looking that up.
Oh, the one with who's got he's drawing his sword from his sheath.
Yes, those guys are done. And I got around to building 5 Hellblasters and the first 3 Inceptors from the Dark Imperium box set.
Well, let me tell you something there, fella. You get those Hellblasters done as quick as you can, because when you use them in a game, you're going to realize how fucking great they are.
Oh, I know they are like the choice unit from the Codex. Every time I play against Primaris Marines, they're the first thing I gun for.
Yeah, you have to.
I found I just primed them today because we finally have a day that's above freezing. It's a balmy 40 out. But yeah, the models went together real easy. I did a little bit of converting. I like the idea of Hellblasters being kind of like a pyro death cult sort of thing. So I festooned them with a few bones and skulls and, I'm going to be doing some cool freehand flames. I'm kind of trying to push the model by model painting standard with these guys a little more than I had before. And with the Inceptors, they're in 3 sub-assemblies because I don't want to try to paint the helmet inside that little cubby hole.
Oh, you can. It's no big deal.
Nah.
Don't paint what they can't see.
Pshaw. No, But yeah, so the backpacks are separate, the heads are separate, and the bodies are separate. And the bodies are, instead of using the little doodle bopper flight stands, they're all kind of, dancing on ruins. So using some plastic glue, I welded them to some, juts of rebar and juts of concrete.
Yeah, no, that's what I should have done.
Yeah, I'll see. The proof will be in the pudding once I actually paint the guys, but I think it's going to be an improvement.
Okay.
But yeah,
sounds good. It sounds like you got a lot of stuff done.
Dude, I feel like I haven't been, but I've apparently done an awful lot.
I've been fucking baiting 5 guys, so yeah. Yeah. Well, let's move on to new stuff, and I don't have anything in my notes, man. I don't think there's any 40k releases in the last 2 weeks.
It's been a mercifully light few weeks, honestly.
See, this is what makes me feel it's like a fucking tsunami, all right?
Yeah.
You know how the ocean pulls back and exposes a bunch of the shoreline right before a fucking tsunami hits?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm fucking anxious again.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if that tsunami comes back in and it's like a back-to-back release of like Eldar, Tau, Slanesh, I'm like, cool, I'm out. Thanks. The only thing I have on my little aspects that's on my radar at all is the Godsworn Hunt pre-order.
For the buff, the muscle friends.
Yep, I love my muscle.
The muscle
family.
bunch.
The muscle bunch. Yeah, I'll be getting them at some point. I know I'm trying to curb my spending a bit and curb my acquisition, all that stuff, but I think I can make the space for my little muscle family.
Just don't tell your fiance that you got your muscle bunch. Hey.
Well, any good relationship starts with the foundation of secrets.
What's life without secrets? Boring.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's move on to We Make the Call, where we make the call. We've got a
nice
a listener email here from Doug T via email. He says, how do you stay/slip into a narrative mindset when reading rules? I find my brain often boils over into trying to find the efficiencies rather than the cool stuff, just so that I can stay in the game when playing pickups. Is there a way you guys keep focused on theme, or a way to at least stop trying to make the most murderous basilisk you can with the new narrative rules? And he sent in a list of ways with the new Vigilus Defiant rules to make a basilisk like extra killy.
Oh, man.
And first I want to address the murder basilisk, and it's an extremely bad idea. Basilisks are toughness 6 with, I think, 11 wounds and a 3-up. They do not last very long in games of Warhammer 40,000 if they get seen by the enemy. It is not a good idea to spend a bunch of points and command points on making basilisks super good. Now, that being said, finding your narrative lane when creating a list or reading rules or something, for me is, it's just because something is narrative doesn't mean it's not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
Like you can have a very on theme or on brand or fluffy group of miniatures or army or whatever, and it still is good in the game. Like Berserkers.
Orcs too. Like as an army, orcs are playing they're almost always fluffy and powerful.
Yeah. So like you don't have to pick and choose, but I think, Doug, what you're getting at is like, how do you stop from spamming in lists? Is I think what you're getting at. And I mean, that can be tough, right? Like you want to make good lists. You want to have good armies and win games.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, just like pick a theme and go with it. And just stick to it.
Well, it's the kind of case where you've got to figure out, if he's doing pickup games, that's what it sounds like he's doing is, playing pickup games. You've got to kind of be your own boss here and figure out who you're playing with. Because, if you're playing pickup games at a store where the meta is very competitive, then, you're going to kind of slip into that de facto competitive mindset. And, so when you come out of it, you might be a little harder than who you're playing against. I've had that problem even with some of my local gaming groups where I spent a bit too much time in tournaments and came back to the bunny slope and started kicking my friends around, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So you've got to kind of find somebody who is less competitive, who you actually like hanging out with, especially, and maybe just be like, hey man, I want to do a narrative game. Let's do some suboptimal stuff and go for it. And if you want to, like, you can even, if you're already kind of an efficiency minded person, which it sounds kind of like you are, you can even be like, okay, half my list will be efficient shit and half will not. So half your list will be, your murder basilisks and like MSU spam, whatever the fuck. And the other half is going to be like priests and conscripts or like the bad Lehman Russes, whatever those are.
Oh, the bad Lehman Russes are really bad though.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, and the thing is if those bad Lehman Russes do great, hell yeah, that's fun. That's cool. If they don't, that's as expected. Because like that's what I've had to do when I've kind of had to deprogram and play on a somewhat softer level is just kind of, curb your power a bit.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Yeah, without necessarily handicapping yourself, but just, not everything has to be full power all the time.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, Doug, we hope we helped you there. That's a good question, though. And folks, please keep emailing us questions for We Make the Call. It is quickly turning into my favorite segment.
Also, Doug, your models look super cool.
They do. Yeah, he shared some with us via email. And, oh, man, I love seeing listener models.
Yeah, so I've actually been thinking about showcasing...
It really butters my toast.
Butters my nubs. I've been thinking about showcasing listener models on the Facebook page that is still called Camhammer, although it is the 40k Badcast. And I've had a few people send in some stuff with the hopes of that sort of thing. So I think that if it's cool, Doug, just write in if you're cool with us sharing those on the webpage. I've got a few other people lined up, and I'd be happy to showcase your stuff too.
Okay. Well, listeners, we are going to stray from our normal way of doing things for this episode. And instead of doing two segments like we do in the middle of the show, we're just going to do one, and it's a big one.
Yes. Whew, it's dense.
So this is a Fluff Diver segment. We're bringing it back on Vigilus Defiant. So Vigilus Defiant came out, I guess, December? So last month?
Mm-hmm.
And it introduced a lot of fun new specialist detachments. It brought Marnius Calgar to Primaris level. We got, what did you call him? Satan Man World Fucker or something?
No, he's not in there yet. Harkin World Claimer is, but not the new Flaming Skullman who they showed at the open day recently.
Right. The Flaming Skullman. Yeah, okay. I thought you were referring to Harkin World Claimer with your cool new edgy name.
He is just... Harken the over-designed, really.
So a lot of cool rules and a lot of cool things were in here. But what people haven't really been talking about too much is the story behind Vigilus.
Yeah, so it is a book that's around 200 pages, but 120 of those pages are just lore. Like, they're just the story.
Yeah. And guys, this shit is dense.
I'm so glad that the first novel I read this year was The Fluff from Vigilus Defiant.
It's for real, man. Like we actually had to postpone recording this show because we both did not think that there was this much background in this book.
Yeah, because also
It's
like
wild.
when you're reading a codex or whatever, first of all, it is shorter, but second of all, a codex tends to have more of those like full page art spreads and like page after page of color plates and so on. And this is a bit of that, but this is a lot of like top to bottom, a lot of text sort of stuff.
Yeah. So we're going to go through it, and we're going to talk about the struggle, the campaign for Vigilus and the story. And we're going to talk about the different locations of Vigilus. It's going to be fun. So strap in.
Yeah, we won't be talking about the rules behind it this episode. We might in the future, but I know there's already a lot of people talking about that stuff to begin with.
Right. So let's start. So Campbell, first off, the fuck is Vigilus?
It is a planet about as far from the Eye of Terror as Cadia, and essentially the next in line, as far as important fortress worlds goes, before you get to the Imperium Nihilus and the Nachmund Gauntlet, which is...
Well, actually, Campbell, you're incorrect.
I love that we're like 12 seconds into a segment and I already said something wrong. Please correct me, Dan.
Vigilus is on the far side of the Cicatrix Maledictum.
Yeah.
It is in the Imperium Nihilus. It is the end point of the Nachmund Gauntlet. The Nachmund Gauntlet, of course, being a little isthmus of space between the Imperium Nihilus and the good Imperium.
In the solar system, yeah.
Solar system, where you can travel without going through an enormous warp storm, which is normally kind of deadly. And so it's made up of 3 planets, this little route called the Nachmund Gauntlet. Well, not planets, but systems, 3 systems. On the close side is Sanguiterra, which is another fortress world.
Blood Earth.
In the middle is Derovar, which is a feudal world. And on the far end is Vigilus, the Vigilus system. So Vigilus is a fortress world because it is like the only outpost that is easily reachable in the Imperium Nihilus.
Right.
And when I say easily reachable, I don't mean easily it's relative.
Yeah.
Because getting through the Nachmund Gauntlet is still quite the task. So the Cicatrix Maledictum is this enormous warp rift that has cut the galaxy in twain. And when it happened, the people of Vigilus were like, oh shit, this is bad. But it didn't go super bad because it stayed open and Vigilus didn't get, absorbed or devoured by the warp.
Right.
And so this little corridor still exists that allows Imperial forces to get relatively safely, through to the Imperium Nihilus.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That is cool because it's also like it has a genuine purpose. It's not just a random planet like that is just being ruined for no reason. Like I guess Medusa 5 was back in the day. Like this is actually important for Abaddon's Black Crusade heading towards Terra, but also for everything else going on too. Right.
It's a beachhead for the Imperium.
Yeah.
If they're going to free the Imperium Nihilus from the taint of chaos and Xenos or whatever, like their staging point is gonna be coming from Vigilus. So yeah, it's a little important for the Imperial War effort. But let's quickly talk about Sanguiterra and Derovar real quick. Sanguiterra is gonna be easy because they don't really talk about it.
Yeah, I don't remember anything but the name, and I was like, that'll probably get some Blood Angels fluff associated with it someday.
It's just a place that exists.
Which really, a place that translates to Blood Earth being just a place is incredibly Warhammer and incredibly Deathclock.
Yeah. So then there's Derovar, which is a feudal world. Now, Derovar is kind of a problem because when I say feudal world, I don't mean like knights on horsebacks. I mean Imperial knights, giant stompy robots. And the king of Derovar, I forget his name. He's a piece of shit. He's the warp rift. The Great Rift has made it. I have to stop saying Cicatrix Maledictum. It's too much. I'm going to have to start saying the Great Rift. Sorry, listeners. Sorry. So the Great Rift kind of made this guy go nuts, and he's like super suspicious and attacks Imperial vessels that come too close to the planet. And it made it so the Inquisition actually declared Derovar's king excommunicate traitoris. However, they haven't sent anybody to execute him yet. So So crossing through near Derevar is a problem because they will attack you.
Yes, but the Knights of Derevar do find their way to Vigilus as part of the Imperial Warfare.
The Free Blades. A bunch of the Knights break off from their oaths or whatever because the guy got excommunicated, and they end up on Vigilus fighting for the Imperium. But we'll get to that.
Right.
So Vigilus is ruled by a bunch of people. It's not quite clear.
It's ruled by the Aquilarian Council.
Well, there's also a governor, though.
Right, Lucien Agamemnus the Ninth, which is a very, very good word. Agamemnus the Ninth.
Yes,
such a good
Lucien
Warhammer name.
Agamemnus the Ninth. However, they're not the only people running shit on Vigilus.
No,
the Aquilarian Council is supposed to be in control, but then there's also the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yeah, but the Adeptus Mechanicus are very important to how the planet works and all that, but even the governor and the council are really run by the ecclesiarchy. Like, the ecclesiarchy has been kind of worming its way into the Agamemnus dynasty over hundreds, if not thousands of years. Yeah. And it is an incredibly faithful world, which is actually going to be good for them coming up.
Well, I mean, there's a group that is faithful to the Omnissiah, the Admech. There's a group that is faithful to the Emperor, the ecclesiarchy-controlled Aquilarian Council, and then there's the Lord Governor, Agamemnus the Ninth, and then there are some other forces at play, and we'll get to that for a moment. But what I'm trying to say, it's somewhat of a fractured command structure here on Vigilus, and as we know, that might cause some problems.
So I really like the fact that it is fractured to begin with, because it's not just fractured leadership-wise and factionally, but it's also fractured geographically, and it has multiple continents with multiple environments in them, because one of my least favorite things that science fiction things do is like, oh, this is desert world, this is jungle world, this is snow world, with the exception of like Dune, where the actual like flora and fauna are very fleshed out and it makes some sort of sense because it's written by a fucking biologist. It's generally like, oh yeah, fine, okay, cool, lava world is lava world, that's all right. And this is actually like similar to Earth in a lot of ways, where you have these different continents which have very, very different environments. And the cultures that form around them are very different as a result of that.
Campbell, I hate to break it to you, but you're technically wrong.
What did I do now? Why am I always wrong? And what am I wrong about this time? Am I wrong that lava planets are inconceivable? I'm sure they exist.
Now, hold up. You're technically wrong. You're not like completely wrong. You're on the right track.
Okay.
But Vigilus is actually an arid desert world.
Yeah.
And the continents you speak of aren't continents. They're continent cities.
They're artificial
They're hives so large that they act as continents on the planet.
Now,
so, and instead of being separated by ocean, they're separated by desert.
Right. The planet has a very low water table, and the water you drink is a status symbol, which I think is such a cool little touch.
Yeah, right. So, it's like how clean the water is like how rich you are.
The working class drink the aqua subterra, which is just like dirty, gross water from underground, while the rich drink aqua glacius, which is mined from the glaciers, while the holy folk drink holy water, which is probably really bad for you. And
probably not too tasty either.
No, and the Admech drink water from space.
Very delicious. Space water, of course. So they have I have 8 different continent-like mega hives here. Right. I'm just gonna read them off real quick.
All right.
But we're gonna get to in depth on these a little bit more as we go through. But there's Dontoria, my favorite, Mega Borealis.
Great name.
Storval, Hyperia, Dirkden, Otek, Mortwald, and Kalax Bane. Very, 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 very names. Very Warhammer names.
Mega Borealis is a very good one.
Large trees.
And Mortwald, which just means death forest, which also rules.
Death forest. Okay, so let's go back a bit, a couple hundred years, because the Great Rift, I guess, opened up, like current quote unquote timeline. Great Rift opened up about 210 years ago, and it was very bad for Vigilus. Immediately, crazy shit starts happening in the sky.
Yeah, and
because
not
they can see the actual warp rift.
Yeah, it's saying if you look up, you can see the galactic formation right above you because it is not that far away.
Right. So immediately curfews are put in place so people cannot go out at night and see the crazy sky.
Right. And looking at the sky is illegal. Which, ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it's real good. And
That's
like
good.
things start happening. Like people are born with birthmarks in the shape of the Great Rift.
Right. Madmen are daubing the Great Rift on walls, even if they've never seen it.
Millions of people across the planet are having the same dream.
Oh, when earthquakes like crack the earth will be cracked in the shape of the Great Rift above them.
Yeah, it's very ominous.
It really kind of feels like kind of Mordheim-y to me, and how that's kind of, tying it back to some older Warhammer fluff. It feels very much like that.
It does kind of feel like Mordheim.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Planet of the Damned.
We talked a little bit about the Nakmun Gauntlet in and of itself, and how I have it written down here in my notes that the king of Derovar is a fucking peen, which I think
Technical
is
term.
An accurate way to say it. But to make things even worse, the Great Rift spit out an enormous orc fleet into the Vigilus system.
Yep, and the orc fleet, which is under Cruel Daka, which is kind of honestly, I feel like Cruel Daka is kind of like a layup orc name. Like, it's a good orc boss name. It's just 2 words.
Right.
It works. You could generate that from a D66 table pretty easily.
You could have done something better, but all right.
Well, there are better ones out there. There's a lot of good orc names in this book, but they just run this blockade, like they run through the planetary defenses without even stopping and just crash all their ships into the planet.
Crash the ships directly into the planet. Some of the orcs, but not many, stay out in space to, I don't know, guard against whatever. But, orcs they don't do a lot of guarding well. So they crash their ships into the wastes between the city continents and immediately start taking apart their crashed ships and building, buggies and Titans and Stompas and Gargants and all sorts of fun stuff.
Because they become these scrap cities where the facilities on board each ship become what the city is kind of built around. So like one was a manufacturing ship, and now that's where all the Stompas are built. One is a maze for some reason, and it's a maze now.
Yeah, and one like crashed down and had its weapons like sticking up, and they could be used as like giant artillery guns.
Yeah, like macro artillery, yeah.
Yeah. So the orcs immediately start attempting to raid all these continent cities. But what is Vigilus known for making, Campbell?
Vigilus is kind of known for having the STC for making these size shields, so these big force field generators that they put around each of the continents, which not just the cities, but the entire continent size cities.
Right. So fortunately for the Imperial citizenry of Vigilus, the orcs crash landed on the force field planet, which is good. But the Great Rift is fucking with all the force fields.
Right, because they're called psi shields, and I don't think if there was any bit about how psychic they are, I missed that. But a lot of the shields went down the moment the Great Rift opened.
Right, and that let the orcs in, basically.
Right.
But the shields are coming, sometimes they're coming back up, sometimes they're going down. They're unreliable, but that means the orcs have an avenue into assault these continent cities.
Right. But most of what the orcs are doing for at least the early part of the conflict is just playing Morkio Kart and driving around the entire world, because the Speed Freaks game actually takes place in this part of the war, where it's not really even a war. It's just orcs driving as close to cities as they can for a laugh and driving away and just racing each other and crashing into shit constantly. And that's where Cruel Daka kind of builds up his speed wog, because he may not be the fastest orc, but he's the toughest. And he builds this, he's not Gazgul Thraka, but he does build this cult of personality around him. Cult with a K, of course.
Yeah, so Cruel Daka and the orcs sort of become like raiders of the wasteland between the hives.
Yes.
Where they're sallying forth in their extremely fast vehicles. And anytime an Imperial convoy wants to go anywhere to one of the different hives, they've got to cross these wastes, and they're basically at the mercy of the orcs at this point.
Right. And all this stuff out in the wastes is very clearly someone watching Fury Road and going, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's, it's all the raiders. It's all driving across these acid wastes where it's just like the winds and the sand will strip the flesh from your bones. But there's even a giant fucking storm that is just the storm from Fury Road.
Yep. It's called the something swirl, Vigilus swirl. I'm looking at my book right now. The Vulian swirl.
Yeah, and when it even describes like it's this great storm that'll lift vehicles up and throw them on the rocks below, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that looks like. I saw a movie with that once.
Yeah.
But
so there's
I'm not seeing that as criticism. I think it's great they're wearing their influences on their sleeve.
So I want to talk about the Scrap City names real quick because I love them.
Okay.
There's Mech Stop City, Hurricane Wreck,
not bad.
Rakux Mech Maze.
That's my favorite.
The Wheel Hub. Gork's Landing. Obviously, there's got to be one.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Scum Town.
Fuck yeah.
Fort Daka. That's where I want to go. Drogzot's Crater. Runthive and Tankus Spill. Beautiful names.
Beautiful names from a beautiful species.
Yeah, so to recap, Great Rift opens up, barfs out a bunch of orcs. Orcs land on Vigilus, start invading everything. Force fields start going down. Things are bad. But Campbell.
Yeah.
Could they get worse?
I think they can, because it turns out for the past couple hundred years, the Pauper Princes, cult of the Genestealer cult, good one, Campbell, has been...
Thanks, bud. You nailed it.
Yeah, I know. Got it. Has been working its way up in influence, starting from in the mines underneath Mega Borealis and radiating out from there, where Grandsire Worm, he is the Genestealer Patriarch here, has been slowly building strength and building influence. And by this point, it's earlier than they wanted it to be for them to kind of show their colors and let fly, but it is still a planet where in some sectors, like in Dirkden, there are more Pauper Prince loyalists than there are Imperial loyalists in some sectors. And they have infiltrated every part of society on Vigilus, from the guard regiments to the working class, all the way to the council on top.
Right. And so let's back up a little bit and talk about Grandsire Worm.
All right.
So about 200 years before the Great Rift opened up, one single pure strain Genestealer made it to the ground on Vigilus.
Yes.
Just
Which
one.
is all it takes.
And this one Genestealer becomes Grandsire Worm, the patriarch of the Pauper Princes.
Genestealers, not even once.
So Dirkden, which you mentioned, like the shit got kind of fucked up real quick in Dirkden.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, there were more Genestealer cultists than loyalist Imperial citizens. And what they did, the Genestealers, that is, they shut down the force field, which was working fine around Dirkden. And so like, oh no, it's the Great Rift. It's causing this shutdown. Oh, y'all regiments better get out there and take out these orcs as they're coming in. But, we'll you'll have these avenues of escape through the shutdown force field. You'll be all right. And what they did was they engineered it so they took out all of the loyalist members of the guard regiments there and took them out and sent them against the orcs. And then they turned on the force fields behind them.
Yep, and locked them out.
Yep.
And they just got rapidly massacred.
Yeah, they got slaughtered very, very quickly. So Dirkden almost immediately fell to the Genestealer cults, to the Pauper Princes, and Dirkden is connected to Hyperia via this thing called the Dirkden Hyperia Fort Wall.
Yes, fort walls connect all of these continents, more or less, like one to at least one other. And they're somewhere between a highway and a fortress.
Yeah.
They're macro highways.
A bunch of refugees start fleeing towards Hyperia because they're like, oh, fuck, everybody's a horrible alien here in Dirkden, so we got to get the fuck out. And what do the Pauper Princes do?
They infiltrate the refugees.
Put a bunch of infiltrators in with the refugees, and now they're making their way towards Hyperia.
Right. So let's go over what these actual continents are, because we're starting to kind of get into what they're doing.
Okay.
So let's start with Dirkden, just because we were just talking about it.
Hit me, babe.
Every continent, every hive cluster has something they contribute, whether that's resources, personnel, or what have you. But Dirkden is the one that doesn't really have much to contribute because it was abandoned during its construction. So it is like the scaffolding of a hive city and a bit of a spread out from there and a bit underground from there. But it's just this poor, desperate hive with no natural resources and no like skilled labor as far as is reported in the book. So it is rife for corruption, and it is ripe for the gene stealers to take their claws into the people. So Hyperia? Yeah.
Hyperia is the capital of Vigilus.
Is the capital of the planet. Well, the capital of the planet is in there, but the Hyperia hive sprawl also has a lot of the factories that create war material. And that's where you have, well, first of all, the city itself is surrounded by walls, guns, and a bottomless moat called the Ring of Nothingness, which is fucking great. But that is where all the politicking happens on this planet. However, the Negation District, which is used for negotiation, has sat unused for generations, is now just a slum. So, it's still Warhammer after all.
Yeah, and apparently the Ministorum, the ecclesiarchy, has a very big hold on Hyperia.
Yes, that's where the Sisters of Battle are stationed, if I recall correctly. But as we said earlier, they are the ones who control the actual throne here in the city of Saints Haven. Would you believe that Saints Haven is kind of a holy place? But
hey, what do you know?
So let's go over some of the other continents real quick. Mega Borealis, where force fields come from, is also basically a place full of mines. It's where a lot of resources get dug up because the Adeptus Mechanicus shot these giant miles-long drills into the planet called bore hives, where they're a city drill that reaches the actual stratosphere just so they could mine for resources under here.
Yeah, well, Mega Borealis was ceded to the Adeptus Mechanicus thousands of years ago in Vigilus history for, some treaty or whatever.
Yeah,
so
for
they control the entirety of that hive.
Right. And
so what they've done is they have exploited the shit out of the resources in and around that hive and turned it into like this half hive, half series of strip mines.
Right, because all the way down there, they're finding, all the resources you'd probably want, but at the very bottom, they're finding blackstone, which is, the big material of the day.
Right. It was the stuff that the pillars...
Yeah, pylons on Cadia were made of.
On Cadia were made of, and so Vigilus is ridden with blackstone as well.
Right.
The Adeptus Mechanicus, because of all their crazy drilling, are causing a shit ton of earthquakes on Vigilus.
Right. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
Which kind of makes everybody mad at the AdMech because these super destructive earthquakes keep happening. And the AdMech are like, well, we're just going to keep drilling. So sorry.
Drill, baby, drill.
Yeah. Mega Borealis is basically, it's like a warren of caves and tunnels and stuff.
Right.
It's a nightmare.
But it's where they found it's where they have the STC for making the psi shields that are around all the continents. Yes. But adjacent to that, or near it anyway, there's kind of an annex, which is Storval, which is where all the geothermic power comes from on the planet, where the AdMech run this as well. And they find all the seismic activity and volcanic eruptions to be kind of a happy accident here because all their geothermic power generators gather energy from those things, and they sell that power off to the highest bidder.
What do you know?
So we've talked about a little bit too is Kalax Bane. It is on the pole. It is a frozen wasteland.
South Pole.
Yes. It is a frozen wasteland. It is just like ice and tundra and permafrost, and that's about it. It's named for this guy, John Kalak, who was a pioneer who died there. Good job. And it is home to a lot of ice, which is mined for not aqua pura, but the good water, and
aqua glacius,
and underneath that are
Enrique Iglesias.
Swell, and underneath that is yet more minerals that are being harvested by the Adeptus Mechanicus. But there's also maybe an Eldar warp gate up there as well. But
oops,
who knew? We've got Otek, which is basically just where all the water comes from, or all the rest of the water comes from, which is more or less run by the Arbites and there's some data hives underneath there where they kind of, trade water with data with the Adeptus Mechanicus, and that's a cool thing. And then we've got Mortwald, what have you, which is basically one of the first places I've read about in a Warhammer story where tourism is a major thing. So, Mortwald is just this series of big biodomes, big fortified biodomes surrounded by...
Oh, I loved that movie when I was a kid.
No, I know. It is... Primaris Polly Shore lands in Mortwald. But yeah, there's just these trench lines around them and gun turrets and all that stuff. And inside is just this absolute paradise, just big forests, cactus farms, waterfalls, and then rejuvenate clinics for the extremely rich, ranging from just, basically injecting space Botox all the way to cutting your head off and putting it on a younger person's body, which is, again, kind of fucked up, extremely creepy, and extremely Warhammer.
I mean, that's the premise of the movie Get Out.
Yeah, I know. If you want to know more about this, listen to our our Patreon bonus episode from October.
Yeah. And so one thing about Mortwald, though, is that when they built it, they had defense in mind. Mm-hmm. Where there's a huge network of defensive walls and trenches outside of the psi shield barriers. Yeah. The force field barriers. So Mortwald, during the Orc invasion, actually fared pretty well. Yeah, because it was well defended. It was well defended before everybody showed up. And last, but not quite least, is Dontoria, which is kind of where people come from. It has been critically overpopulated for as long as Imperial history kind of knows it. And it is so polluted that I think it's kind of the geographical equivalent of a smoker's lung. It's full of these floating shanty towns on this super polluted inland sea where no life can survive. And it kind of when I read about that, I kind of thought about the if you played Fallout 4, there's this place called Libertalia, which is a raider city of these bound together boats and shanties that is kind of out in the ocean. And I think that's cool. And because of just its desperate conditions, unlike Dirkton, the desperate conditions actually produce a lot of very faithful people because the priests and Ministorum are hanging out there a lot and drawing from the crowds a lot. So most of the recruits for the Vigilant Guard come from Dontoria. Yeah. There's one more place that we haven't talked about yet, and it's Neovelum, which is the moon of Vigilus, where the stronghold of the Administratum is, which is funny because the Administratum, they basically just record everything that happens in the Imperium. It's just space bureaucrats. And they're just watching. Yeah. And then Neovelum is just up there watching Vigilus. Right. It's kind of their ley line to the rest of the Imperium. Messages come through there and go out there. And it is just thousands and thousands and thousands of these hunchbacked, poor people just scribbling away with pen and ink, writing away missives and messages and relaying and transcribing. And their messages don't almost ever get to where they need to go. But Neovelum cares not from whence the ink flows. Nope. As long as it keeps flowing. So these messages are shot out of these pneumatic tubes in these little metal capsules as divined by the data saint, which I don't really know what it is. It's kind of it might be an AI, it might be some biomechanical thing, but it's this. Oh, it's totally an AI. It is, but it's the good kind, but it's this intelligence that calculates when and where something and somewhere will be. So it calculates based on that where it shoots this message out, but it's ancient and decrepit, and instead of repairing it, they just venerate it. So it's wrong most of the time, and it has killed multiple people by launching basically high-velocity email from the moon. Well, it's these pneumatic tubes that they shoot from the moon that are supposed to go to a person, on the planet, the surface of the planet. And a lot of the times the grav chutes don't deploy, or there's a problem with it. And it's just this tube falls from space and kills somebody. Did you ever watch Angry Beavers? I don't remember. I think that was a cartoon show, right? Yeah, it was a Nickelodeon, and they the way they did mail from their dam was by putting things in capsules and putting them in these tubes, and it launched out. And there's one episode where they're just sending away box tops, and it starts and they're getting shit back in the boxes, and out of the tube comes a massive box of Monster Truck or whatever, and that's kind of what I pictured this like. Yeah, it's obviously a very dumb way to send mail, but only 90s kids will remember this bad way to send mail. Okay, well, let's catch up with what's happening back with the story here. So, Rift happens. Orcs invade. Oh, shit, there's already Gene Stealers here. Oh, boy. Well, at this point, this is where things shit starts to get real. So, Dirkton completely falls to the Gene Stealer cult. Right. Otek gets corrupted by the Gene Stealers. Yeah, they start poisoning the water supply. A lot of the water comes from. Basically, the industry on Vigilus gets shut down because the Gene Stealers infiltrate the lowest levels of society.
Yeah.
They infiltrate the workers and the factory workers, the dockyard workers, and so these guys basically go on strike, but not for like better conditions or anything, but because they're brainwashed by an alien monstrosity.
Right, and this is mostly Gene Stealer cult stuff because, you know, they infiltrate a lot of these things. But there's some cases of chaos cults showing up here, too, not really knowing it. So in the forges, in the mines, down, you know, where the people are in, you know, volcano continent finding their stuff, they start worshiping the fire, and they're unknowingly worshiping Tzeentch in doing so.
So this is when some of the Space Marine chapters start to take notice.
Right.
First amongst them are the Iron Hands and their homeboys.
Because they can do calculus.
The Iron Hands and their homeboys, the Brazen Claws, show up. Iron Hands, of course, are noted fun havers and good to have around if you're part of the civilian populace. So the Iron Hands go to Mega Borealis, where the AdMech is, because they, you know, are AdMech friends. And the AdMech are like, all right, Iron Hands, get these orcs out of our city. And the Iron Hands are like, okay, we'll start doing that. And they have a problem. They go out orc hunting, but in many cases, Campbell, they find themselves beset by Gene Stealers.
Yeah.
And this is somewhat surprising to the Iron Hands.
Well, because at first the Greater Aquilarian Council just thought the Gene Stealer uprising was just some malcontents and the stories have been exaggerated, but that ain't the case.
Nope. So I've got this written down. This is a fun sentence. The massive orc invasion combined with the Gene Stealer incursion, combined with the fractured Imperial command, and combined with the cicatrix fucking maledictum tears apart the Vigilus command structure.
Right.
And there's a fun little story where, as part of Mega Borealis, there's a battlefield that's on this old river, and the AdMech are losing, so they set everything on fire.
Yeah, they make a literal firewall.
to defeat the orcs invading that area.
And they consign like thousands of their own men to death to do this, too.
So shit gets really bad in Mega Borealis, which is, you know, where they make the force fields, which is kind of important. And the AdMech commander there, whose name I can't remember because all their names are impossible to remember, like his processing power freezes because he's supposed to fight the orcs, which is a different way of fighting than fighting the Gene Stealers, but it's happening at the same time. And his capacity for understanding this simply stops. The continent city is left in a grinding stalemate as the AdMech command structure completely breaks down there.
Yeah, if I was a finer painter, I would paint up like the goggles on Tech Priest Dominus to have like a blue screen of death on them.
So Mega Borealis is in a bad stalemate situation. Dontoria is, as we talked about, notoriously overpopulated. So what happens in Dontoria? Oh, orcs invade?
No.
Gene Stealers? Not really.
Miss me with that shit.
Death Guard, Gellerpox infected, come from outer space and infiltrate the super overpopulated Dontoria hive sprawl. And now we're familiar with the Gellerpox at this point, as it was introduced in the Rogue Trader expansion to Kill Team.
Right. And I think Infiltrate might be a bit more subtle than what they actually did. They kind of just crashed into it.
Yeah, well, there was a Rogue Trader whose name escapes me, but it's, you know, one of those like really flowery Rogue Tradery names. And she knew that there were 3 ships heading towards Vigilus that all had Gellerpox on them.
Right.
And she tracks down 2 and destroys them, but 1 makes it to the planet. I don't think they crash, but they just land, and like their ship is all fucked up. And when people go to like investigate like what is happening with the ship, the hatches fly open and all these like mutated infected walk out with a bunch of Death Guard heretic Astartes.
Yeah, there was a short story that was posted on Warhammer Community a little while ago that goes over that in pretty good detail, and it's one of the better ones they released alongside this book.
So in Dontoria, things went from very bad, which is like the normal state
from
of
imperial
relations.
bad to chaos bad.
Yeah, very bad to extremely bad almost immediately. But wait, Campbell. There's more.
There's more.
The Drukhari, the Dark Eldar, are also on the planet. There is a warp rift, or a warp gate, I guess they have at the South Pole near Kaelaxbane, and they are raiding the shit out of Vigilus all at the same time.
Yeah, it's starting to feel... I would say, like, most of this works for me, like, mentally. Like, okay, orcs crash in the planet. All right, there's already genes or cult presence. All right, I get it. And the people, because of where it is, chaos comes due. Okay, I get it. Once the Eldar start getting in there, it starts to feel a little bit more like they're trying to justify every army being there, like in the old Dawn of War games.
Right. Yeah.
The Dark Eldar and Eldar presences here are much smaller than anyone else, really.
Yeah, I think
they're basically just Dark Eldar raiding parties.
The Eldar are like there because like some Farseers are like, oh, we got to kill this one guy. And the Dark Eldar are there because they're like, we're going to take advantage of all this anarchy and chaos to get a bunch of slaves, like the Dark Eldar do. So there is some good news, though. Some slight good news. The Brazen Claws pretty much ensure that Hyperia doesn't fall to the orcs or the Gene Stealers. They do a great job defending there. The Iron Hands are entering the fray and stopping the complete destruction of Mega Borealis. Mm-hmm. The Space Wolves get involved at Otek and stop the Gene Stealers from poisoning the well, if you will, from contaminating the water by, they collapse a bunch of shit and fuck shit up. Right. But the Space Wolves are there. And the problem is, though, nobody's talking to one another.
Right. All these cities were already kind of divided to begin with. And with this chaos lowercase c chaos happening on the planet, they withdraw even more and they aren't helping each other. They're not sharing intelligence or sharing resources.
So if only there was someone known as a great administrator who could come to Vigilus and lead all of the Imperial factions there.
Well, he's about 10 feet tall and 3,000 pounds, and his name is Marnius Augustus Calgar.
All right, this next part is called Marnius Calgar is tired of your bullshit. So Marnius Calgar is in Ultramar, and his old buddy Tigurius gets a little astropathic relay of the terrible situation happening on Vigilus, and he has some terrible dreams and there's some very bad portents, and he reaches out. You
might even say.
Yeah. He reaches out to Marnius Calgar psychically and makes a link. And instead of telling Marnius what he knows, he just basically downloads or uploads all of the information directly into Marnius Calgar's brain through psychic powers. And Marnius Calgar is like, oh, fuck. I guess I got to go to Vigilus and clean up this mess.
Yeah. And Reboot Gilman is like, go to Vigilus and clean up this mess.
That's pretty much exactly
he
how
says
it happens.
This world cannot fall.
So Calgar shows up and begins organizing the forces like any good administrator would. But he rolls up to the Aquilarian Council and immediately finds that some of them are Gene Stealer cultists, even mutants.
Right. Yeah, when he arrives, he finds that there's just all this incompetence and infighting, and a lot of that was due to that Gene Stealer cult infiltration. And he just ices a whole bunch of them. They try to kill him, and he's like, "No, your toughness 3."
Yeah. He kills most of them. Now, in the meantime, since Marnius Calgar last made his appearance in the story, there have been some changes.
Yes.
We were joking last episode calling him Primarnius Calgar because the motherfucker went and upgraded. He is now a Primaris Marine. He has crossed what is called the Rubicon Primaris.
Yep, putting the Rube in Rubicon.
Where, of course, he gets implanted with the other parts of the Primaris gene seed and the new organs that come with that. And part of the Primaris process, Campbell, like when you upgrade, is that you die.
Yeah, and there's only like a 2 out of 3 chance of you coming back, but he does it.
But he does it. Tigurius helped bring him back, and he is now a Primaris Marine, and he's got a new set of armor, but he has the same weapons. They retrofitted, or I don't know if it's retrofitting, but they changed the Gauntlets of Ultramar so they would work on Primarnius Calgar's new armor.
Yeah, well, Belisarius Cawl used an Ultrastone on him, and he evolved. You know how it goes. But he did this largely because there was a lot of distrust between Primaris Marines and the existing Marine cultures, because much like a good number of the fan base, the Marines are like, we're getting replaced, aren't we? We're over, aren't we? We're dying out, aren't we? We're being squatted. And he's like, Kinda, but you should welcome these new brothers with open arms. Like these are an asset. They can help you. They can integrate into your chapter. They can be as good as the man next to you, because a lot of them felt kind of that their gene seed had been diluted by bringing in all these, Terran-born or Mars-born rather, grown in the Vat Primaris Marines, and they don't have the proud culture of Fenris or Rin's World or whatever. Although
the Space Wolves are famous for mistrusting the Primaris Marines.
Space Wolves famous for being intolerant and understanding. But yeah, Calgar does this as a diplomatic thing to show the other Marines, hey, you've got nothing to worry about. We can be this too. Like, this can happen to you. We can all work together here. And, pretty much everybody was on board after that, except for, I think Space Wolves are still kind of distrusting. But the Crimson Fists are like, oh, we're all dead. We'll take those guys. Bring them on. We have a chapter again.
So Calgar rolls up. He executes most of the government, and then suddenly he's the new governor of Vigilus. Congratulations. Right. They have a party. Right when this is happening, some Eldar, some Craftworld Eldar, some same Han Craftworld Eldar show up to execute this Tzeentch cultist in Hyperia, I believe. They show up and they take out this guy, this mission, but they don't tell anybody on the Imperial side of things.
Yeah. So it seems like they just ran in and murdered a civilian.
Well, murdered a bunch of civilians.
Yeah,
and what they did was they killed this cult, this chaos cult. So they were helping, but they didn't tell anybody that they were helping, and the Imperium didn't know that this chaos cult was that dangerous.
See, the thing you really need to know about any relationship is that communication is very important.
So the Craftworld Eldar show up, and they get confronted by the Imperial forces in the area, and the Imperial forces start attacking them.
Because they're Eldar.
Yeah, and they just killed a bunch of seemingly Imperial citizens.
And that defense is led by Primaris Lieutenant.
Well, it's a bunch of guard and militarum tempestus first.
Stormtroopers, yeah.
So the Spirit Seer, Kelinaris, this is the story of Wake the Dead, the expansion or the battle box or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that came out. Kelinaris gets real mad about the fact that the Imperium attacked them after he decided not to tell them anything. And he goes and he takes a bunch of Wraithbone constructs and puts the spirits of the people that died on Vigilus, his people that died on Vigilus, in them, and comes back to get revenge on the commanders of Vigilus. Thing is, the new commander of Vigilus is Marneus fucking Calgar.
Yeah, it's not just some lieutenant.
So Kelinoris rolls in, and this lieutenant guy whose name is like Eothas or Eothabris or I don't fucking know, whatever.
Guy with the sword aloft, yeah.
Yes, he the guy that I just finished. He rolls in. He's there to defend Marneus Calgar. Kelinoris rolls up. They have a big fight, and then Marneus Calgar finally shows up, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Smacks Kelinoris. Kelinoris flees, and that's kind of the end of it.
Yeah, the Eldar kind of out of the story after that.
They're just like, we tried. We gave it a shot.
Gold star, you tried.
So the Tooth and Claw box set, which was Space Wolves and Gene Stealer cults, that story is the Space Wolves are trying to get into Otek Hive to stop the corruption of the water therein, and they have a bunch of tunnel battles with the Gene Stealers in there and end up collapsing a bunch of tunnels to stop the water from flowing. And I think they sacrifice themselves in the process. The Space Wolves do.
Okay.
Which is nice of them.
That is nice of them. Well, that's the thing, is they're written to be absolute assholes until they need to be noble, and then they're that. Right.
So Marneus Calgar is there, and he's taking a look at the situation on Vigilus. You've got the Orc invasion, the Gene Stealer cult uprising, and the Gellerpox infection. And he's like, guys, we really need to worry about this Gellerpox infection. This is the thing. And the other leaders are like, oh, what are you talking about? This is nothing. This is not even a big deal. And Calgar's like, oh, no. We're going to Dontoria, and we're going to see what's fucking happening there.
Yeah, have you seen what happened to Ultramar?
So they go to Dontoria, and Dontoria is fucked up.
Yeah.
There are mutated zombies everywhere. The Death Guard is sort of just striding around doing whatever the fuck they want. And they end up quarantining most of the hive.
Yeah.
which is like a hugely unpopular move because it's billions or at least hundreds of millions of people that are just left to the Gellerpox.
Yeah,
but Calgar's like, we can't do anything about this right now. We are not the guys that do that. We have guys that do that. They're called Grey Knights, but not us. We don't do that. We've got other things to worry about. So we're just going to keep them in for now.
Yeah.
And so that was a very unpopular decision made by Primarnius Calgar.
Is that where the Crimson Fist showed up and had to like gun down civilians?
Oh, yes. Yeah. There were like a bunch of civilians tried to escape the quarantine and they probably weren't infected. But since they had come from the quarantine area, they couldn't be trusted. Right. And so the Crimson Fist ended up killing thousands, if not millions, of these refugees as they're trying to flee Dontoria. Which
is a massive stain of their honor because the Crimson Fists are like, there's kind of two kinds of Space Marine chapters. There's the ones who really don't give a shit about humans as a whole and the ones who really do. And they are firmly in the latter camp. And, you know, this is the same war where, you know, Pedro Cantor said like, hey, he lobbied to save more civilians and take in more refugees from some of the other hives. And they were able to in other places. So this is kind of especially tragic for a chapter that prides the life of human beings so much.
Yeah. So Hyperia is pretty much good because of the Brazen Claws and the Ultramarines. OTEC had the corruption in the water has been stopped for the most part because of the Space Wolves. Dontoria, the Ultramarines and the Crimson Fist rather have sort of stopped the spread of the Gellerpox there. But in Mortwald, things are actually going pretty good. There isn't really Gene Stealers there. There aren't Eldar fucking around. It's just orcs. And the Imperial Fists end up showing up in Mortwald and leading the defense there and actually start beating back the orcs with the help of a bunch of night houses and the Free Blades from Derovar.
Right, the dumbass Free Blades from Derovar.
And so things are starting to get interesting in Mortwald where the Free Blades from Derovar are upset because their king gets excommunicated and they want to fight for the glory of Derovar. But the Imperial Fist commander is like, no, dude, we need you guys to hang and like defend some shit. You can't just run off into the wastes after these orcs and fight a whole bunch. We got a plan here. We're working. So the Free Blades are like begrudgingly like, all right, fine. We'll listen to you for now, but it doesn't last. No. They end up taking some of the battles out to the wastes to the scrap city known as Tankaspil.
Yep.
And the Free Blades kind of go off the leash. They charge the orcs and they get killed to a man.
They seek a glorious death in battle, and by gum, they get it.
They certainly do. But this leaves the Imperial Fists out in the lurch. However, they get some help.
Right.
From not one, but two more Space Marine chapters enter the fray here. You've got the White Scars, who are famous for their mounted warfare on bikes. Mm-hmm. Perfect for the speed war type battles being had in the wastes of Vigilus. And then you have the mysterious Raven Wing of the Dark Angels shows up. Again, on bikes, perfect for this sort of battlefield.
Yeah, which is really great as long as they keep fighting for the Imperials before they just ride away to do question mark things.
It's so strange that you would say something like that, Campbell.
Yeah.
So the Derovar Free Blades, oh my God, are out. The Imperial Fists hook up with the White Scars and the Dark Angels to take the fight to the orcs after that. Now, the White Scars are being extremely effective working with the Imperial Fists on taking out the orcs. And the Ravenwing are too, but they're not really talking to anybody else. Their leader, Maraneus, I think his name is, he's like very, very quiet and taciturn. And the other Imperial commanders are sort of like, what's with this guy?
But the Dark Angels also aren't really committing fully to anything at this point in the war.
And at one point, they're beating the orcs around Tankaspil, around Mortwald. They're beating them. And the Dark Angels up and leave.
In the middle of the fight, right when they could have taken the battle.
They fucking peace out. And they leave the White Scars completely unsupported. So the White Scars have to withdraw.
Right when they could have cut the head off the Wog, yeah.
Right, and the orc come back, and they set up siege on Mortwald again, because the Dark Angels was just like, all right, up and at 'em, let's go.
Later.
So yeah, the Dark Angels are assholes. Again, what a fucking surprise.
New?
Yeah. So things are continuing to get worse on Vigilus at that point. Dirkton is completely abandoned to the orcs and the Gene Stealer cultists.
Yeah, where they're still fighting each other, too, at this point, because the Gene Stealer cults, although they do want the downfall of the Imperium to happen, it's still their world, too.
Right, and they're specifically trying to set up enough psychic resonance to attract a tendril of a hive fleet.
Yeah, knowingly or not.
Yeah, which is not, like their whole thing is they're trying to create more and more pure strain Gene Stealers, because those are the ones with the psychic resonance for the hive fleets to pick up on. So that's their whole deal. They're against everybody. They're not teaming up with the orcs or anything. But a bunch of weird shit starts happening around the planet, where like in the upper spires of the hives, people just go missing. Or you'll like walk into a room and find that like everybody is slaughtered, and there is no explanation for it whatsoever. Except, Campbell, of course, there is an explanation for it. It's
As
the
always.
fucking Black Legion Raptors, led by Harken Worldclaimer, are coming from the sky. They are the vanguard force of the Black Legion. They are the Harken Worldclaimer is the herald of the apocalypse. He comes to Vigilus, he takes his nifty fucking spear, stabs it right into the ground, and claims the world in the name of Abaddon the Despoiler.
And says, in 80 days, shit's going down. This would be really great if, we could have seen this coming if the Imperials were allowed to look up. Like dogs, they can't look up.
Noted not looker-uppers, dogs. They can't do it. So they also mentioned that there are 1,000 suns around Kalak, Spain. Just to, throw some more shit in there.
Sure, why not?
But at this point, the story of Vigilus sort of ends. It's incomplete.
And this is part 1 of 2.
Right. So Harken Wardclaimer showing up and saying that Abaddon's coming back is a big fucking deal.
Incredibly. And all right. So as for what's going to come next, we don't know for sure, but the book's written in the past tense. Very much so.
Yeah.
It's like Mortwald was. Vigilus was.
Yeah.
So I know Rupert Gilman said, Vigilus cannot fall, but I think he really meant Vigilus should not fall.
Right. I think what this book is setting us up for is a resounding Imperial defeat on Vigilus.
Yeah, Cadia Part 2.
Yeah, I think old buddy Abaddon is gonna show up and put boots to the Imperial backsides on Vigilus, and take that world for the Black Legion and for Chaos. Which, I mean, he's on a roll right now. He's hot shit, that Abaddon.
Yeah, no, he's having a resurgence. He's coming back. He's armed for bear.
I mean, Abaddon is a complete fucking badass, though.
Yeah.
Like, as far as Chaos commanders go, I don't really fucking buy into the Chaos bullshit at all. But he's been around since before the heresy.
Yep.
He was like Horus's right hand guy.
Little Horus.
He was, he spent thousands of years alone in the Eye of Terror, just figuring out how to get back at the Imperium for the slights of the Horus heresy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the guy. He's the big bad.
He's the big bad with vision, too. He's not just like, I'm gonna. He's not just like sitting around twirling his mustache and like,
top knot. Twirling his top knot.
Twirling his top knot and tying rattlings to train tracks. Like, he's actually, he has a plan.
Yeah.
He has things he wants to accomplish, and he's the only uniting force among Chaos I can really think of.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed the backstory here on Vigilus.
I haven't read any of the Forge World Imperial Armor books just because they're, not readily available to me generally.
And enormous.
and enormous. And like when I picked this up, when I got this, I thought it was going to be like the old Codex Armageddon, where it's, you know, it's got a good amount of fluff, but this is like Codex Armageddon plus that Black Library Armageddon like companion book together.
Yeah, it is. It's got it is an extremely dense amount of backstory and fluff in here, and I would suggest that if you're into it, like, and you haven't picked it up yet, pick it up. One, because there's a lot of fun rules to use, but two, like, if you have any connection to the armies fighting on Vigilus, sorry, Tau players. No, I'm never sorry to Tau players. Sorry, Necron players.
There you go.
But if you have any connection to what's going on in Vigilus, like, pick it up. It's a lot of fun. It's some really cool stuff, and some really cool background is in there.
Yeah, the writing as a whole is generally pretty good.
It's mostly expository. There's not really any like big like narrative stuff happening.
Yeah, there's
in the writing, that is.
Yeah, there's little nubbins here and there, but it is mostly expository stuff, and it is written like a history book. But it's got tons of maps. It's got so many maps.
God, and there's so many maps. There's so much cool art. There's a bunch of new all Primaris chapters that they introduce. Like I particularly like the Void Tridents, which
those guys
like
are dope.
They're dark blue with white pauldrons and a bunch of brass or copper on them. It looks really cool.
Yeah, and you've got all those like, oh, here's a list of the Imperial forces on Vigilus, and it's like the Kalax Bane Task Force has the Truscan Snowhounds, and you know the Vigilant Underhivers, and these like all these names of regiments, which are, you know, they might not all be fleshed out, because of course you know what the Cadian Eighth look like, or what the Catachans or the Ultramarines look like, but there's all these other forces where you can be like, oh, I wonder what the Tunnel Rats look like, or you know what the Sump Crockers look like, or whatever. And it's a really great starting point for your own forces, and it fleshes out the setting, so it's not just, you know, it's not just your big players playing here, it's all these other forces in there too, and it's very cool.
Right. It's such a flavorful book. There's so much fun stuff going on. Like, it's really cool, and I'm really glad we did this as a segment, because I haven't really been paying attention to the story on Vigilus, and I think a lot of people haven't.
Yeah,
but
it's been kind of in the background. That's why. Now
I'm into it, and whenever this next 40k supplement comes out, which it's, you know, rumored to come out, you know, we were just talking about it earlier in the show, soon, hopefully after Adepticon, please, just after Adepticon, please.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the 80 days thing, like, we're talking about potentially getting a new Abaddon. We're talking about potentially getting new Black Legion stuff. Like, oh man, that's exciting.
No, absolutely. This feels big.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. Because also, you read so many stories about planets getting overtaken, overrun, whatever, and they just kind of happen. But this is a this is a war, like a full-on war, not just, you know, a footnote that takes hundreds of years, and it shows. And I like that, because like I was saying earlier about how in sci-fi, every planet's one thing. It's kind of also like how every planet has one battle, then it's kind of over, you know? Right. And this is, you know, this feels like a real total war, and it's very cool.
Yeah. It's very well done. A lot of fun to read. It's way more than I thought it would be, like, for research for this show.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, we had to push our recording back a few days.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot to sink your teeth in here. And like I looked quickly at the different battle zones and missions you can play, and it all looks extremely flavorful and fun.
I think it'll be very useful for people running campaigns too.
Yeah, yeah. And then like there's like new Marnius Calgar models. There's these Victrix Honor Guard models. Like, stuff is awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a good book. I feel I've bought a lot of books where I've been kind of like, I read through it once, I'm like, all right, cool. Then I read through it in like an afternoon. But this is one I've sunk my teeth into this guy, and this book is good. It has the Badcast seal of approval.
All right, so last word on Vigilus here. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Prime Marnius Calgar.
Yep.
Helmet or no helmet?
No helmet.
Ooh, really?
It's the classic look. It's how he's looked since second edition. Actually, since Rogue Trader.
Okay.
I'm going to be maintaining that tradition.
Are you going to put a Catachan head on his body?
At the very least for the photo opportunity, yes.
Okay, good.
Because I found my bits bag of old Catachan bits. That's why I did the reorg recently.
That's great, man. I'm so happy for you. All right.
I
think we've done a great job here with our Fluff Diver segment, but let's get it into the segment that everybody loves, our marquee segment, Fact or Fan Fiction. Now,
That's
Campbell,
Yep.
we've read a lot of actual fact today.
We have. We've read way too much actual fact for me.
So, is it time for some fan fiction, maybe?
I mean, I don't want to give up the ghost here, but I think you might figure it out. What the asterisk is going on? A young man yelled as he felt himself and his comrade being dragged through a portal.
This is your anime voice, by the way.
A lot of voices are my anime voice. It's also the voice I make when I'm watching anime, which is frequently. The man in question was a tall, skinny, long, brown-haired 20-year-old. He wore simple blue jeans and sneakers with a plain black t-shirt with a pocket. On his belt, a pocket knife was clipped, but little else was visible on his person. His comrade, who was also being pulled through the portal, was a short, skinny, short brown-haired man with glasses, being around the same age as his companion. He wore blue jeans with black and white striped running shoes and wore a plain red shirt with a red hoodie sweatshirt over it. He carried a backpack filled with miscellaneous books and school supplies. These two were Michael and Jared, respectively. The two men fell through the reddish-brown portal for several minutes before coming out the other end and flopping onto a hill covered in green grass with a clear blue sky and 2 full moons. Normally, I would criticize your language, Jared said as the two of them got up off the ground. But as of what just happened, I forgive you. It was soon after Jared made his comment that they turned around to see that they were standing on the undamaged half of the valley they were in. The other half, which they were now facing, was covered in blood, fire, and human corpses. What
fun.
the actual crap, both said in unison. There was very little life in the valley, but they heard the sounds of explosions in the distance, confirming that the battle was still going on, even if it was far from visible. Michael quickly reached down to grab his knife, for what good it would do. Wait, what happened here? A fight, obviously, Jared retorted. Yeah, no duh, but who was fighting? The two of them wandered into the battlefield, leaving footprints in the ash. They came across a corpse rather quickly. It wore some kind of armor, but said armor was covered in burn marks. His eyes wide open, frozen in fear, Michael reached down and closed the soldier's eyes. Reaching elsewhere on the body, he found an emblem on the pauldron. Shocked at what he was seeing, he turned to his friend. Hey, Jared, do you recognize this? Michael asked, lifting the emblem into view. This? Eyes jumping out of their sockets, Jared could not believe what he was seeing. Hell, I'm gonna go drink heavily and bang my head against a wall in a very safe corner where I can hide. See you in 5,000 years, Jared responded, turning around and taking a few steps in a random direction. The emblem in question was a golden eagle, the Imperial Aquila, the symbol of the Imperium of Man. The corpse's eyes suddenly opened, and the man gasped for air, grasping the base of his neck. Panicked, holy! Both Michael and Jared cried out in surprise, Jared slipping on a fallen pistol laying in the ash. The man's gasping slowed, and he felt his torso and arms. Dude, are you okay? Michael asked. The soldier looked, from his own body to the two standing over him. Who are you? Where are we? He asked. As Jared got up and dusted himself off, he and Michael exchanged looks before turning back to the soldier. I'm Michael, and this is Jared. As for where we are, we have no idea, Michael answered. Oh, God, this is so much longer.
Well, we can stop it.
I think we can.
We don't have to read all of it. You fucking tortured me with some super long fan fiction last time.
Well, see, the thing is, I chose this one because it had some nice breaks between it, but those breaks come a good 5 minutes down the line from where I've already read to.
All right. Well, let's. I'm going to put myself and the rest of our listeners out of our misery, our collective misery, and it's fan fiction. It's terrible.
Yeah. No, this is fan fiction.
It's not the worst you've given me, but it's not good.
No, this is Warhammer Adventures of the Two by Rocket. So I found a very common thing in reading a lot of bad fan fiction, which I've done an awful lot of recently for the show, is a lot of people teleporting themselves and like very clearly they're in real life friends to this other setting. And it's just like they're writing what they know, which is basically their own dumb in-jokes to their friends and Warhammer. And it's very clear that they need to broaden their horizons just a little bit.
So who do you think wrote that one, Michael or Jared?
Oh, I think Michael did because Jared has all the good one-liners, but quote unquote good quote unquote one-liners. But Michael is very much the character who talks more and actually has any action here. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
But yeah, the beta for that was read by RoboCop 3301. And yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Campbell. Thank you for once again poisoning our brains with terrible dreck from the internet.
Yeah, I thought I'd keep it a little brief after the last subscriber episode where I didn't just poison your brains, I poisoned the entire well.
Oh, God, it was so long. All right, well, let's get out of here. Let's quickly plug some stuff. We've got an announcement to make as far as plugs go.
Yeah, you better be holding on to your seat, but you might not need to hold onto the whole part. You might only need to sit on the edge because we have a new shirt.
There's a new shirt in our store, which you can visit at spreadshirt.com/shop/40k Badcast.
Let's give the actual URL, which is shop.spreadshirt.com/40k Badcast. If you put the shop in the wrong place, you'll probably just get 404'd. But we have a new Edging Enthusiast t-shirt. We've talked it up for a long time, and I finally was inspired. I awoke with a shock at 8:30 in the morning, which is when most people probably wake up normally, but for me, it's very early. And I just had this idea for the Edging Enthusiast shirt. So I workshopped with you a little bit, workshopped with Dylan a little bit, and we have a beautiful new shirt for you to put on your beautiful bodies.
I got great news.
Yeah?
Mine came today.
Yeah?
It's in the mailroom at my apartment complex right now. After the show, I'm going to get it.
I'm really looking forward to hearing how the friction of that shirt on your body will cause a fire. So go to shop.spreadshirt.com/40k Badcast and purchase one of our incredibly flammable shirts, including this brand new, beautiful, splotchy boy.
The Edging Enthusiast shirt is here and you need it. Put it on your body.
It is in multiple cuts, multiple colors, multiple prints, all that good stuff.
Wear it in public.
Wear it to church.
All right. You can get at us on social media. Twitter is a place that we both exist in. I am at DB Sleazy. He is at Brother SRM. And you can catch me tweeting about the NBA, weirdly enough, because I was watching a basketball game last night, and God damn it, those guys move fast.
What does the guy with the flag do? I never got a clear grasp on what the guy with the flag on a basketball field?
Court.
On the green?
Yeah, the basketball green. Thank you. And you can catch Campbell tweeting about
my Rube Goldberg machine that'll kick Mitch McConnell in the balls. And Buca de Beppo. All the good stuff. I'm very on brand these days.
You can also catch Campbell on Tumblr at Cam2D, where he posts models and...
On sadly pornless Tumblr. That's about it.
No, not one porn.
Not one porn on cam2d.com. Not a one porn.
You can also get at us at our email address, which is contact@40kbadcast.com. I implore you to do so, to reach out to us, to talk to us, to give us questions for We Make the Call. We want to hear from you.
Models. Yeah.
Show us your models.
And if you want to support us in all the things we do, you can go to patreon.com/40k Badcast and support us on Patreon and get all the cool bonus episodes that we've been doing. We just released a little late December's episode. We'll be recording January's episode next week, and we will keep up with that monthly bonus episode for as long as time.
You know what I'm realizing right now?
Yeah.
We're in week 3 of a 6-week weekly show arc.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is crazy.
This is awful. This is terrible. And it's all for you, listeners.
It's all for you, and it's all self-imposed.
Well,
the Sisyphean task of recording this podcast.
We do want to thank our Patreon supporters. You guys mean the world to us. And I want to thank you, listeners, for making it through to the end of the show with us. Before we leave, we have a tradition around here where Campbell reads us a quote that we think about and analyze. And then we come back at the beginning of the next episode and talk about that quote and how it has affected us in the intervening time. So, Campbell.
What show are you listening to?
What do you got for me?
This war, devastating as it may be, is an overture. Can you not see it in the twisting of the stars? Prepare yourselves, my learned friends. The crescendo is yet to come.
For the 40K Badcast, I'm Dan Boyd. He's Camo McLaughlin. We're bad at 40K. You can too, and we'll see you in the next cartoon.
Keep edging until you hit that crescendo.
Oh, yeah.